What if every night, while the world sleeps in distraction, you could let your mind be trained by the same laws that built empires, created fortunes, and awakened genius? What if instead of falling asleep to noise, you fell asleep to power, to a voice that rewires your thoughts in the image of definiteness, faith, and success? For years, your nights have belonged to worry. You lie awake replaying the day, whispering what ifs, fearing tomorrow's bills, the judgment of others, the slow decay of another year gone. But tonight, that ends. Tonight, your mind becomes a Tonight, your mind becomes a workshop of wealth, a quiet temple where the laws of success are whispered into your subconscious until they become you. Do not take this lightly. Your subconscious never sleeps. It obeys every word it hears while you rest. And if you fill it with doubt, you awaken to the same small life. But if you fill it with hills, 100 lessons, the ones that turned failures into masters, you awaken with new certainty. Each lesson a command to your inner self. Each sentence a seed of definiteness. Each night another brick in the mind that success obeys. You have spent your days chasing change, podcasts, books, advice, promises. Yet at night, you hand your mind back to the chaos. You scroll, you drift, you surrender your greatest hours to noise. And in the silence before dawn, you wonder why nothing changes. This is why, because the world programs you while you sleep. But what if starting tonight, every word that reached you in the dark came from a man who spent a lifetime interviewing giants? A man who decoded the pattern of success from Edison, Ford, Carnegie, and Rockefeller. A man who proved that every fortune begins with a single thought charged with faith and sealed by repetition. Listen carefully. While your body rests, your mind will march. You will hear the same 100 lessons that have trained thousands of men to climb from defeat to dominion. These are not mere words to dominion. These are not mere words. They are mental blueprints forged in failure, tempered by faith, and proven in the lives of the rich. Fall asleep tonight as you always do, and tomorrow will repeat. But fall asleep to this, and you will awaken different. Your subconscious will begin to obey command, not fear. You will stop drifting. You will move with purpose. You will feel it. The quiet authority that all great men carry. A year from now, you may look back and say, that was the night it began. One decision, one voice, one night that rewrote a mind. So before you close your eyes, make this promise to yourself. Tonight I will not drift. Tonight I will listen. Tonight I will let the laws of success rebuild me from the inside out. Let these 100 lessons play as you fall asleep and watch how your mornings change. For repetition is the mother of faith, and faith is the builder of destiny. You are about to train your mind in its most receptive hour. Fall asleep to success. Awaken to purpose. Let my words replace your fear, your doubt, your drift. Tonight, your education begins. Not in a classroom, but in your dreams. I have learned that the mind never rests. When your body surrenders to sleep, your mind continues its ceaseless labor. It builds, destroys, or restores according to the materials you feed it before the eyes close. If you give it fear, it builds more fear. If you give it purpose, it constructs new paths toward the object of your desire. While the world sleeps in confusion, I have trained my mind to obey my will. I have seen men rise from failure to fortune simply because they understood this. The subconscious is a loyal servant. It does not reason. It obeys. It does not sleep. It does not reason. It obeys. It does not sleep. It acts. It does not argue. It executes whatever order it receives. Each night before rest, I choose the thought that shall travel through the corridors of my mind until morning. I command it to build faith, wealth, courage, and peace. This habit has changed the course of many lives. For the night is the hidden workshop of destiny. Those who drift unconsciously invite the chaos of fear to take root while they sleep. The mind is like a mill. It will grind whatever you feed it. If you supply wheat, you awaken to flour. If you supply thorns, you awaken to pain. Your duty is not to stop the mill, for it cannot be stopped, but to choose the seed it crushes through the hours of darkness. Each thought is a grain, each emotion the fire that heats it. The man who drifts through his evenings with idle worry awakens weaker each day, while the man who directs his mind before slumber grows in strength unseen. Your subconscious is the faithful hand that continues your labor while you rest. It is the unseen builder of your character, your fortune, and your fate. It is no accident that Andrew Carnegie meditated before retiring each night. He filled his mind with definite plans, whispered his chief aim into the silence, and released it to infinite intelligence. In the stillness of sleep, new ideas came, solutions arrived, and faith. Stillness of sleep, new ideas came, solutions arrived, and faith increased. That is why his mind seemed to command opportunity itself. Henry Ford, too, understood this hidden law. He would review his vision of the motor car before retiring, repeating to himself that he would give the world an automobile so inexpensive every man could own it. His mind, saturated with this definite thought, worked throughout the night, revealing answers to problems his engineers had called impossible. You see, the mind, when directed, becomes an obedient architect. When undirected, it becomes a vandal. The same power that builds can destroy. The same imagination that creates can torture. Therefore, every night before you rest, you must declare ownership of your mind. You must seize control before sleep takes hold. Say to yourself, I am the master of my sleep and the commander of my thought. Repeat it until you feel its certainty. For repetition is the mother of faith, and faith is the instrument of creation. Each time you repeat, the words sink deeper into your subconscious until they become living law. Let no idle thought enter the gates of slumber. Guard your mental door as you would guard treasure. The price of neglect is heavy. For every careless image, every whispered doubt, every unguarded fear becomes a builder in the night. When you awaken, you reap what you planted. Many people believe that they rest at night, but in truth, only their limbs rest. The mind continues its ceaseless motion. It listens, absorbs, and creates patterns that tomorrow will take shape and action. That is why men awaken some mornings heavy with anxiety and others renewed with faith. They have slept with different companions. If you would become rich, powerful, and serene, you must learn to direct those invisible companions. Speak to your mind as a father instructs a child. Tell it what to do, and it will obey. But if you leave it untended, it will wander into the fields of fear where weeds choke every noble seed. Tonight, as you drift toward rest, imagine that you stand before the gate of your own subconscious. You hold the key. The gatekeeper awaits your command. What words will you give him? Will you send him to fetch sorrow or success? Will you fill his hands with faith or with worry? He will not decide. He will only obey. Every man is both master and servant to his thought. The mind will kneel before him who dares to command, but it will enslave the one who fears to speak. When you learn to give orders to your inner self, you rise above circumstance. You cease to be a leaf tossed by the wind and become the wind itself. Your sleep, therefore, must be treated as sacred labor. The world believes that progress is made by toil during daylight. But I tell you that greater miracles are wrought in darkness by the hand of thought. What you truly believe while your body sleeps will become your waking world. Let your last thoughts each night be definite, clean, and purposeful. Picture yourself already in possession of that which you seek. Feel gratitude as though the promise were fulfilled. Faith is not a begging prayer. It is confident expectation. The subconscious, when impressed with gratitude, hastens to reproduce the condition that caused it. Do not whisper, I hope. Speak, I know. The difference between failure and triumph is the difference between those two words. Hope hesitates. Faith commands. The night listens only to command. When your words are wrapped in belief, the mind bends the world to fit them. The man who learns to rest with purpose never wastes an hour. His nights become laboratories of ideas, his mornings the harvest of unseen labor. What others call dreams, he calls blueprints. He awakens each day to find that his mind has built the scaffolding of success while he slept. If you fill your mind with peace, you awaken peaceful. If you fill it with irritation, you awaken weary. That which you dwell upon in the last minutes before sleep becomes the emotional climate of your next day. Guard those moments as you would guard a vault of gold. They are the narrow bridge between thought and creation. Each time you retire, imagine that infinite intelligence sits beside you, listening to your final command. Speak clearly, state your desire as though it were already granted, then rest in perfect faith. This quiet ritual aligns your mind with the same laws that guided Edison's inventions and Lincoln's perseverance. I have spent years teaching men to labor with their minds, yet few realize that the greatest labor occurs in repose. You will not conquer by restless effort, but by directed faith. Thought is the seed of power, is the soil in which it grows. The farmer who plants but never allows the field to rest exhausts his strength. In the silence of night, your subconscious gathers unseen materials, ideas, associations, and impressions and arranges them into form. When you awaken, you call them intuition or inspiration, but they are merely the fruit of deliberate nightly planting. The genius of invention is simply disciplined sleep. If you wish to prove this, try it for 7 nights. Before you retire, fix one definite desire in your mind. Repeat it until your heart believes it. Refuse to dwell upon anything contrary to it. Then rest. You will find that within days, ideas appear and confidence rises. Faith, when mingled with thought, acts as heat to metal. It softens resistance. It shapes the invisible into the visible. The night is the furnace where this transformation occurs. Each repetition of faith before sleep increases the temperature until the metal of circumstance yields to your design. Do not fill your night with the noise of idle talk, gossip, or complaint. Those are sparks that burn your energy without light. Instead, cultivate silence, reflection, and direction. The world's greatest men all conversed with themselves in solitude before the world ever heard their names. Carnegie once told me that he conducted nightly interviews with his own mind. He asked it, "What have I learned today? What must I improve tomorrow?" This constant self-dialogue refined his power. You too may adopt this practice. The conversation between your conscious and subconscious selves is the meeting of king and counselor. There is a reason why you must master your nightly thought. Repetition. The mind believes that which it hears most often. Whether truth or falsehood, it does not inquire. It accepts through familiarity. Thus, if you would change your belief, you must repeat your new truth until the old one dies from neglect. Repetition is the golden chisel that sculpts character. Each night you strike the same note of purpose until it vibrates through every fiber of your being. The timid call it monotony. The wise call it mastery. The greatest victories are not sudden. They are the result of a single thought repeated until it becomes law. Imagine your subconscious as a great river beneath the ground. Each repeated thought is a drop that shapes its current. When you direct your repetition toward faith, that river carves a path toward success. When you neglect it, it floods into confusion. Each night, you decide which direction it will flow. Do not fear the slowness of change. Thought must be repeated in rhythm until it becomes habit. Habit is destiny written in motion. Just as the stars trace the same path across the sky, your repeated thoughts trace the same pattern across your life. When you awaken each morning, you are the product of the thoughts you repeated the night before. If those thoughts were of failure, you carry its weight into the day. If they were of triumph, you rise with new strength. That is why I call the night the furnace of transformation. Say these words before you close your eyes. Every word I hear in the silence becomes power in motion. My faith multiplies in rest. My desires march while I dream. Repeat them slowly until your body relaxes and your breathing becomes the rhythm of certainty. Feel the truth of the words entering you, sinking deeper than sound, deeper than language, into the very law that governs your being. As you practice this nightly, you will find that problems which once burdened you dissolve. Solutions. People and circumstances begin to align with your desire. The world outside reflects the order you built within. You will not dread the night, for you will know that it serves you. You will not fear sleep, for you will understand that while your hands rest, your destiny labors. The darkness will no longer hide confusion, conceal creation. You will awaken each morning with eyes that see farther and heart that believe deeper. The man who learns to govern his sleep learns to govern his fate. From tonight forward, let your rest become your ritual of command. Let no hour of darkness be wasted and drift. Your subconscious is the tireless worker who will never betray a definite purpose. Feed it only what you desire multiplied. From this night forward, you shall no longer fall asleep beggar at the door of chance. You shall rest like a king upon the throne of thought. Your sleep shall no longer be escape. It shall be creation. For the mind that never sleeps builds the life that never falls. Sleep now, but do not drift. Sleep as a master who commands his servant. Sleep as a builder who leaves instructions for his foreman. Sleep as a believer who knows the dawn will obey his word. For tonight, your education begins not in the noise of the day, but in the silence of your own mind. All achievement begins in the invisible realm of thought. Every bridge, every empire, every fortune that ever existed began as a picture in the mind of one who refused to doubt. The great illusion of mankind is the belief that power exists in things. Power resides only in thought, for thought is the parent of all things. I have walked beside men of immense wealth and vision, and in each of them I discovered this same truth. Their outer world was a reflection of their inner picture. They built nothing that they had not first imagined. When you learn to govern thought, you gain command over circumstance, because circumstance is only thought made visible. Motor car years before the first model stood upon the floor. He said he felt it, drove it, and heard its hum in his imagination. While the world mocked him, he held fast to his mental picture until it stepped forth into form. The man who dares to believe what he has not yet seen shall one day see what he has dared to believe. Andrew Carnegie built his empire not from iron, but from ideas. He saw the furnaces burning in his mind long before the first flame rose from the earth. His vision gathered men, machinery, and money as iron filings to a magnet. That is the silent command of thought in motion. It draws to itself the materials that match its nature. When you understand this law, you no longer ask the world for. You provide the pattern and let the law perform the rest. Thought charged with faith is the blueprint. Action, merely the scaffolding. The builder of fortunes is he who knows that invisible plans are as real as visible steel. Your mind is the workshop of divine law. It is the meeting ground between the unseen cause and the seen effect. Every invention, every poem, every song of triumph was first whispered in the imagination. When the conscious mind paints clearly and the heart believes deeply, the subconscious begins its silent labor. The careless thinker, however, is like a man who leaves his workshop untended. Tools lie scattered, fires burn unattended, and the product of his mental labor, if he dreams of riches by day, but entertains doubt by night. He builds and destroys with equal vigor, never realizing he is both creator and saboteur. You must train your thought as a soldier drills for command. It must learn to obey instantly, to march in one direction, to hold formation under pressure. Idle imaginings are traitors in your mental army. They whisper surrender when you need victory most. Expel them. Replace them with deliberate purpose and watch how swiftly your world obeys. All that you experience in the outer world is the echo of your inner state. The faces you meet, the events you call chance, are mirrors reflecting your habitual thought. To alter your destiny, you must first alter your imagination. The sculptor changes the statue only by striking the stone. You must change the picture that the world imitates. There exists an invisible thread between your thought and the substance of life itself. It carries your desires outward, is definite and sustained. This thread becomes a cable. When your thought wavers, it frays and breaks. Hold your mental image as a captain holds the helm steady and unswerving. The world admires those who act boldly, yet it is thought that gives birth to such boldness. Action without a ruling idea is motion without progress. Lead. The hand must follow. Every enterprise that endures was first born in the chamber of thought and faith. Consider Abraham Lincoln. Long before victory, he held the vision of a united nation. His thoughts of unity were so strong that even his enemies could not resist them. When he spoke of liberty, he was not appealing to men's ears, but to the law that makes thought contagious. That law is eternal. What is deeply believed by one becomes possible for all. You must learn to picture with clarity, but in definite form. The subconscious does not respond to uncertainty. It obeys precision. To wish vaguely for wealth is to confuse it. To see yourself rendering service, receiving just reward, and using your riches wisely is to command it. The mind does not build from clouds. It builds from blueprints. Each night before sleep, hold for your imagination the exact picture of the life you intend to. Feel it as real. Color it with emotion. Speak it with confidence. The subconscious will accept it as an order. Repeat it until faith replaces all hesitation. Thus, you enlist infinite intelligence as your unseen partner in creation. Do not fear the distance between thought and form. The seed does not question how it shall become the oak. It simply obeys the law. So must your desire obey the rhythm of growth. The law of thought never fails for your consistency. Keep your faith burning, and the invisible must become visible in due time. You may observe that failure and success alike are born from this same principle. The man who habitually fears poverty shapes his future accordingly. His constant picture of loss repeated daily constructs the very conditions he dreads. The law of thought in motion is impartial. It builds whatever image you persistently provide. Therefore, guard your imagination as a fortress. Admit only those ideas that strengthen courage and exclude all that weaken resolve. Each image you dwell upon becomes a prophecy. The subconscious, impartial and tireless, will make it real whether it blesses or destroys you. The choice lies wholly in your command. When I say that thought moves, I mean that it travels beyond the boundary of flesh. It moves through unseen channels, influences minds, attracts forces, and organizes circumstance. There is nothing mystical in this. It is law. The magnet draws to itself people, things, and events. The careless man may ask, why? Why then are my dreams unrealized? I answer, because his thought is scattered, his purpose divided, his belief uncertain. The law does not favor the undecided. It gives abundance to definiteness and starvation to doubt. The man who knows what he wants and holds it in his mind as fact cannot be denied. Imagine your thought as the architect of a grand temple. If the drawings are precise, the builders follow without error. If they change daily, the labor halts. Many fail not for lack of effort, but because their plans change with every fear. The subconscious, like a faith in instruction. To govern your life, you must first govern your imagination. Let no idle fancy, no rumor of defeat occupy your inner stage. The law will reproduce it as surely as it reproduces faith. Be as careful with your thought as the banker is with his gold. A wasted thought is a lost fortune. Each morning, the world begins anew for you. You awaken within the conditions you built the day before. If your nights were filled with purpose, your mornings will meet you with opportunity. If your nights were filled with confusion, your mornings will echo it. Each day is the harvest of last night's thinking. You must understand that thought carries emotion as wind carries scent. The stronger the feeling, the swifter the thought travels. This is why belief is more potent than mere words. To think without feeling is to command without authority. To feel with faith is to make the universe your obedient servant. Edison once said that every invention is 99 parts thought and 1 part work. Refining them, trusting them as one trusts a loyal friend. His thoughts became real because he treated them as real. You must do likewise if you wish to bring your vision to life. Do not despise the small beginnings of an idea. Every mighty river begins as a single drop. God seed thoughts from the cold winds of doubt until they're ripen. Share them only with those whose faith strengthens yours. For unbelief is frost that kills before bloom. As you lie down each night, imagine your mind as a great projector king images upon the screen of the universe. The clearer the picture, the sharper the result. If you fill that screen with scenes of triumph, you shall await opportunities that match your vision. The world outside merely follows the film you run within. You must never say, I cannot. Takes every command literally and obeys it without question. If you affirm weakness, it builds barriers. If you affirm power, it opens doors. Speak only what you desire to become true. The law of thought knows no humor. It grants every instruction. When you learn this law, you begin to as one possessed of quiet authority. You cease pleading with the world and begin commanding your own mind. You understand that the invisible listens more keenly than the visible. No longer wait for chance. You create certainty. The true man of power works not against the world, but through it. He understands that life is but the shadow of. He no longer fights appearances. He corrects causes. When fear arises, he does not argue. He replaces it with faith. When doubt whispers, he answers with decision. Speak these words as you prepare for rest. What I think build. Every image I hold is a prophecy of my destiny. My mind is the power plant of creation. Repeat them until they become rhythm, until you feel the pulse of faith beneath the words. Let them sink beyond the surface into the chamber where thought becomes command. As they take root, they will move unseen to arrange the events of your life to fit their pattern. As you drift into the stillness of the night, know this: the mind you train now will serve you while you sleep. It will labor ceaselessly to fulfill the vision you have given it. When you awaken, act upon the first impulse, for it is the answer your mind prepared in the darkness. The law of thought in motion is the eternal architect of destiny. Use it consciously, and it will build a palace. Neglect it, and it will construct your prison. You hold the tell. You choose the design. The law itself is impartial. It will not argue with your command. Now close your eyes with the calm assurance that every clear thought you have held this day has already begun its journey into form. Rest not as one who ceases labor, but as one who entrusts his work to faithful hands. The invisible has received your orders. The world will soon deliver their results. Every transformation begins with a spark. In the beginning, before faith, before plan, before action, there is desire. It is the fire divine that separates the living from the drifting. It is the voice of life itself whispering, "I will." Desire is the first motion of the soul toward its own completion, the hidden hunger that drives man to unfold his power. Desire is not mere wishing. Wishes are idle winds that pass without leaving warmth. Desire is fire, a steady consuming heat that melts obstacles into opportunity. Every man who has risen from obscurity to greatness has been driven by one central burning purpose that would not let him rest until it was fulfilled. When I spoke with Edison about his early struggles, he told me that what kept him awake through the long nights of failure was not ambition, but desire, an unshakable determination to give the world light. That desire burned in him long before he understood electricity. He felt its reality before others could see it. That is the of true desire. It creates its own certainty. I once met a man who traveled hundreds of miles to see me after reading one of my lessons. He had lost his fortune, his family, and nearly his mind. Yet in his eyes there flickered a small light. "I have nothing left," he said, "but the will to begin again." I told him that was everything, for one spark of definite desire contains more power than a mountain of excuses. Desire is the heartbeat of success. Without it, plans remain paper and faith remains theory. A man without desire is like a ship without wind, directionless, powerless, waiting for a tide that never comes. But once desire ignites, even a small boat can cross the storm. Do not mistake passion for desire. Passion is the noise of the senses. Desire is the voice of the spirit. Passion burns bright and dies quickly. Desire glows steadily until it consumes all that stands between the dream and its realization. Every great builder, inventor, and leader was first possessed by an idea that refused to let him sleep. Barnes, the young man who became Edison's partner, carried such a fire. He arrived at Edison's office, poor, dusty, and unknown, yet his eyes declared his purpose. He did not ask for a job. He declared his intention to work with the great inventor. His clothes spoke of poverty, but his mind spoke of certainty. Within a few years, his desire had turned him to millionaire. Desire is a prayer in motion. The moment you feel it with intensity, you have already sent a command to infinite intelligence. But desire without persistence is like a prayer whispered and forgotten. The heavens answer only those whose requests are repeated until they become demands of faith. You must learn to feed your desire until it becomes a living force. Repetition is its nourishment. Each night, repeat the vision of your aim until it burns through doubt. The subconscious, once charged with a definite desire, transforms it into plan and opportunity, but it must be fed constantly, for the mind forgets what the heart does not rehearse. Why do men fail? Not for lack of ability, but for lack of intensity. They wish weakly. They speak timidly. They imagine vaguely. Desire must be definite, pictured in detail, charged with emotion, and affirmed with faith. The world does not move for half-hearted petitions. It moves for burning certainties. Desire, when married to faith, becomes power. Faith alone is light without fuel. Desire is fuel without light. Together they create the flame that forges destiny. That is why I call desire the first flame of achievement. It is the fire from which every other principle draws its heat. At night, when the body grows still, rehearse your desire as though you are already in possession. Feel the weight of success upon you. See the faces of those who rejoice in your accomplishment. Hear the sound of your own gratitude. This exercise transforms imagination into command. The subconscious accepts emotion more readily than logic. Therefore, feel your goal as real. Rockefeller once said that long before he found oil, he could smell it. He lived in the consciousness of abundance, even when surrounded by doubt. Schwab, before leading great industries, felt himself a captain of men while still an assistant. Such men do not wait for recognition. They create it from the heat of their desire. As you cultivate this fire, beware of extinguishers, fear, criticism, and indifference. These are the cold winds of the soul. Guard your flame as a lamp in the storm. Surround yourself with those who feed it, not those who quench it. The man who keeps company with unbelief will soon forget his own power. There is a rhythm to desire, as there is to all natural law. It begins with longing, grows into purpose, matures into faith, and ends in realization. Many abort their dreams in the early stage, mistaking delay for denial. But the wise understand that every seed must endure darkness before it reaches the light. I have seen men pray for wealth while secretly fearing it. They desire comfort, but cling to limitation. Their minds divided against themselves produce nothing but confusion. Desire must be whole, unbroken, absolute. A half desire is a contradiction. It asks and denies at once. The test of true desire is willingness to act. If you will not move for it, you do not yet desire it enough. Desire transforms fear into courage, fatigue into endurance, and failure into lesson. Every difficulty becomes fuel for its fire. Without such intensity, the soul remains lukewarm, unfit for greatness. Each night, before closing your eyes, recall your definite chief aim. State it aloud in words that thrill your being. Write it in the air of your imagination. The subconscious records these repetitions like inscriptions upon stone. In time, the grooves deepen until the mind can no longer imagine fear. Say to yourself, "My desire is pure fire. It refines all doubt. I command the world through the intensity of my... What I desire with faith must become mine." Repeat these affirmations until you feel them living in you. They are not wishes, they are decrees. Each repetition strengthens the connection between your conscious command and the invisible law that executes it. Remember that desire, like a flame, must be tended daily. The fire that is not fed dies, and with it ambition. Begin each morning by recalling the picture of your success. Throughout the day, guard your mood as a priest guards a sacred flame. Never speak of failure, for words are sparks that can ignite doubt. In the stillness of night, let the image of your desire fill the darkness. See it glowing brighter as the body drifts toward rest. This is no idle dreaming. It is the conscious formation of destiny. Each image repeated nightly moves the subconscious to construct the conditions necessary for its fulfillment. When you awaken, act as though the dream were already reality. Speak, move, and think as the successful man would. Behavior repeated forms belief, and belief hardens into fact. The world mirrors not what you wish, but what you inwardly assume to be true. Desire transforms even failure into stepping stones. Every obstacle becomes material for construction. Edison failed 10,000 times because his desire burned brighter than his frustration. Lincoln lost more elections than he won. Yet his longing for unity never dimmed. Desire turned defeat into instruction until victory could no longer be denied. If ever you feel your flame grow weak, return to silence. Withdraw from noise and opinion. Sit alone and ask, "What do I truly want?" When the answer comes, not as words but as feeling, grasp it, nurture it, and let nothing steal it from you. The man who knows his desire is already halfway to its realization. Desire is sacred. It is the language by which the Creator speaks to creation. Every noble impulse, every dream that lifts you higher, is the whisper of infinite intelligence calling you toward your own perfection. To deny your desire is to refuse your divine assignment. Therefore, honor it. Speak it daily. Feed it with repetition and faith. Protect it from fear and doubt. Act upon it with courage. In time, it will draw to you the people, ideas, and opportunities necessary for its expression. Before you sleep tonight, see your desire as a living presence beside your bed. Give it form. Thank it for its coming. Say, "You are mine and I am yours. Together, we shall build the life ordained for me." Then rest, knowing that while you sleep, your desire continues its work. For in the end, desire is not what you chase. It is what chases you once you have believed. It becomes the magnet of your destiny, the flame that lights your path through every darkness. And when faith joins it, the world itself bends to make way. Sleep now, but sleep with purpose. Let your heart burn quietly beneath the calm of rest. Tomorrow your flame will burn of rest. Tomorrow your flame will burn brighter, your steps firmer, your voice sharer. For tonight you have learned the first law of creation. Nothing moves until desire commands it to move. There exists a bridge between the seen and the unseen, the known and the hoped for, the mortal and the divine. That bridge is faith. Faith is not mere belief. It is conviction so strong that the invisible bends to obey it. It is the calm certainty that the thing you desire already exists in spirit, waiting only for your readiness to receive it. Faith is the builder that stands beside thought, shaping it into form. Without faith, thought is a shadow without substance, a plan without foundation. Faith is the unseen energy that breathes life into every idea. It does not reason, it knows. It does not plead, it commands. It does not look around for approval, it looks upward for law. When I first began to study the men who had accomplished great things, I found faith at the core of every one of them. It was not always expressed in religious form, but it was always there, an unwavering belief that success was inevitable because the mind itself was guided by divine law. They did not merely wish to succeed, they knew they would. Dr. Frank Gonzalez once told me how he stood before his congregation in Chicago and declared, "If I had $1 million, I would build a school where students could learn to develop their minds, not merely memorize facts." That night, his conviction burned so fiercely that it awakened the imagination of a single listener who soon provided the million. Faith had spoken and the law had obeyed. Faith is a habit of mind. It is not something you are given. It is something you cultivate. Just not something you are given. It is something you cultivate. Just as a muscle grows through use, faith strengthens through repetition. Every time you affirm what you desire, every time you act as though it were already yours, you are training the mind to believe. And when belief becomes habitual, miracles become natural. I have known men who prayed fervently, yet doubted immediately after. They planted the seed and dug it up each morning to see if it had grown. Such men receive nothing, for faith cannot coexist with fear. The soil of the mind must be undisturbed if the seed of desire is to germinate. Faith is not blind. It sees beyond the visible. It looks not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of spirit. When Ford was told that his engineers could not produce an 8-cylinder engine in one block, he simply said, "Build it." Month after month, they returned to him with failure, and month after month, he replied, "Build it." That was not stubbornness. That was faith in the law of mind. Andrew Carnegie believed in men when others doubted them. He saw potential where others saw mediocrity. Faith in others is an extension of faith in oneself. For he who trusts the divine law in his own mind recognizes it in all men. It is this kind of faith that multiplies power, for it recognizes it in all men. It is this kind of faith that multiplies power, for it unites minds in harmony. To build faith, begin by mastering your words. The subconscious accepts every repeated phrase as truth. Speak constantly of success, health, courage, and abundance. Deny failure by silence. The man who talks of his weakness builds a monument to it. The man who talks of his strength strengthens it further. Faith grows in the atmosphere of positive speech. Before you retire each night, perform this mental exercise. Recall a moment from your day when you acted in courage, honesty. Recall a moment from your day when you acted in courage, honesty, or strength. Relive it. Praise yourself for it. This is not vanity. It is mental training. Each act of self-approval plants another seed of confidence. In time, faith will become the natural rhythm of your thought. Faith is emotion in motion. It is not cold calculation. It is feeling intensified until it commands matter. You must feel the truth of your desire before you can experience it. The subconscious is moved not by logic but by emotion. To think without feeling. To think without feeling is to send an unsigned letter into the universe. The 6 ghosts of fear, poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death are the sworn enemies of faith. They disguise themselves as caution, humility, or reason, but they are imposters. You must recognize them for what they are, thieves of power. Every time you yield to one, you weaken the bridge between thought and creation. There is no room for fear in the mind that truly believes. Fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. The instant you affirm faith, fear dissolves as darkness before the candle. Therefore, when anxiety creeps in, do not fight it. Replace it. Speak your faith aloud. The spoken word carries vibration, and vibration transforms emotion. When discouragement whispers answer, I live in faith as a fish lives in water. When doubt taunts, declare my belief is stronger than sight. When delay tests your patience, affirm, I feel the invisible working in my favor even as I sleep. Repeat these words until your heart grows quiet and your mind peaceful. Faith does not shout. It whispers assurance. It is a steady current beneath the noise of uncertainty. The man of faith walks calmly where others run in panic because he knows that every step is guided. I have observed that those who possess faith radiate a certain light. Their very presence calms confusion and strengthens courage in others. This is not mystery, it is law. Faith emits vibration, and vibration influences all within its reach. It is the silent speech of certainty that all men unconsciously hear. To develop faith, act as though you already possess the thing you seek. The body must express what the mind believes. If you desire confidence, stand erect, speak firmly, and look men in the eye. The gesture strengthens the emotion, and the emotion erect, speak firmly, and look men in the eye. The gesture strengthens the emotion, and the emotion strengthens the belief. Faith is both cause and effect of its own expression. Remember that faith is contagious. Surround yourself with those who believe in progress, possibility, and good. Avoid the company of cynics, for their words are poisoned to the delicate plant of faith. When two or more gather in harmony of belief, the power of each multiplies. That is why men of vision form mastermind groups. They borrow one another's faith until each possesses more than he began with. Faith speaks in the language of gratitude. To thank the universe before receiving is the highest expression of belief. Gratitude is the perfume of faith, the proof that you already possess what you desire in spirit. Therefore, each night before sleep, give thanks not for what you have, but for what you have claimed in advance. I recall one evening when discouragement pressed heavily upon me. My work had been rejected, my funds exhausted, and my hope dimmed. Yet in that darkness, I heard a quiet voice within say, "Stand up, continue." That voice was faith, and obedience to it changed everything. The next morning, new opportunity appeared. The invisible bridge had carried me across despair. You must learn to hear that voice. It speaks softly beneath the clamors of fear. It never argues. It simply directs. The more you trust it, the louder it becomes. The man of faith consults this inner guide before all others. He does not seek the approval of crowds. He seeks the approval of conscience. Faith transforms ordinary men into instruments of divine purpose. It gives the timid courage, the poor vision, and the weary strength. It is the unseen architect that designs every miracle. You cannot purchase it, but you can practice it until it becomes your nature. Each repetition of faith cannot purchase it, but you can practice it until it becomes your nature. Each repetition of faith deepens the groove in your subconscious. Each act of courage expands its domain. Eventually, faith ceases to be something you do and becomes something you are. Then, even in the storm, you walk in calm, for the law of faith has become your permanent dwelling place. Do not think of faith as something distant or mystical. It is simply the certainty that thought, when joined with feeling, creates its likeness in form. The farmer has faith in the law of growth. The inventor has faith in the law of ideas. The leader has faith in the power of men united by purpose. You too must have faith in the law of your own mind. Say to yourself each night, I live in faith as a fish lives in water. My belief is stronger than sight. I feel the invisible working in my favor even as I sleep. Speak these lines not as poetry, but as command. The subconscious responds to tone more. Speak these lines not as poetry, but as command. The subconscious responds to tone more than words. Speak as one who expects obedience, not as one begging mercy. When spoken with conviction, These affirmations create the bridge between idea and fact. As you rest, imagine your faith as a beam of light extending from your mind into the unknown, forming a bridge across the gulf of doubt. Upon that bridge, your desires travel safely to the land of realization, and when morning comes, they return, bearing fruit. Every act of faith strengthens this bridge. Every surrender to fear weakens it. Therefore, walk it nightly with confidence. Let no shadow of hesitation touch your step. The invisible will carry you as far as your belief extends. When you master faith, life becomes simple. You no longer chase results. You create causes. You cease fighting effects. You plant new seeds. You replace complaint with command. And you discover that every prayer, every plan, every effort, you replace complaint with command. And you discover that every prayer, every plan, every effort was never to move the world, but to move yourself into harmony with the law that governs it. So tonight, before you surrender to sleep, place your faith upon the throne of thought. Command your mind to hold fast to the image of success, health, and peace. Whisper into the silence, "It is done." Then rest, for faith never sleeps. It continues its work long after the lips grow still. Sleep now, not as one uncertain, but as one assured. The invisible bridge is beneath you. Each breath you take carries you farther toward your destiny. While the world dreams idly, your faith marches onward, building tomorrow from the power of tonight's belief. There comes a time in building tomorrow from the power of tonight's belief. There comes a time in every man's life when he must choose between drifting and directing. Nature abhors uncertainty. The man who drifts is like a leaf carried by every gust of circumstance. The man who decides moves is the wind itself. One is the product of chance, the other the master of law. Decision marks the hour when thought becomes order, and order becomes power. Faith and desire without structure produce only dreams. Dreams become plans, only when shaped by decision. The world is filled with men of ability. The world is filled with men of ability who wander endlessly because they never decide what they want. They drift upon the current of opinion, mistaking motion for progress. The river of life rewards only those who set their oars and steer. When Andrew Carnegie first began his work, he had no wealth, no connections, and no certainty beyond his vision. But he made a decision, one definite, unchangeable decision, to devote his life to the organization of men and materials in the steel industry. That single act of decision drew to him the people and opportunities that made him rich beyond measure. The power lay not in steel, but in the clarity of his purpose. I too have learned through struggle that indecision is the father of failure. For years, I drifted between occupations, each one promising satisfaction, but giving only restlessness. Not until I decided upon my definite chief aim did the fog lift. From that day forward, every event seemed to align with that purpose. Decision releases energy that otherwise lies dormant. When you decide firmly, you command both your conscious and subconscious mind to act in harmony. You command both your conscious and subconscious mind to act in harmony. The conscious provides the direction, the subconscious provides the drive. The world outside merely obeys. The man who hesitates speaks confusion into his own mind, and the law returns confusion in his affairs. Planning is the architecture of decision. A desire without a plan is a wish. A plan without decision is a map never followed. Order begins when the mind writes its purpose in definite form and gives each hour its task. Thought is power only when it moves in lines of organization. A wise plan does not require perfection. It requires persistence. The best plans evolve through motion, not meditation. Begin with what you know and improve through doing. Every empire began as a rough sketch on paper. Edison's laboratory was a chaos of wires before it became a temple of invention. Begin where you are, but begin with direction. Decision is moral courage. It is the refusal you are, but begin with direction. Decision is moral courage. It is the refusal to retreat before uncertainty. The coward waits for perfect assurance. The brave decides and creates assurance by acting. Every decisive soul radiates strength, and strength compels cooperation. Men follow the one who knows what he wants, even when they do not yet see what he sees. Henry Ford's greatest gift was not his mechanical genius, but his power of decision. When others hesitated, he acted. When others doubted, he declared. His decision to build one car for the multitude was ridiculed, resisted, and rejected until it reshaped civilization. Decision converts ridicule into reverence. Every night before sleep, review your plan for life as a general reviews his strategy before battle. See clearly the next step you will take upon awakening. Write it in your mind until it glows with certainty. When you rise, act at once. This simple habit will build a chain of accomplishment so strong that failure cannot break it. If you would end drift, you must learn the art of daily decision. Begin with small matters. Decide what time you will wake. Begin with small matters. Decide what time you will wake, what task you will complete first, what tone you will hold throughout the day. The man who cannot decide upon trifles will never command the great. Decision is a muscle that grows only through use. Beware of the illusion of endless preparation. Many hide their fear of failure beneath the cloak of planning. They polish the same idea, rearrange the same words, study the same data, and call it prudence. True prudence acts when 90% ready, trusting faith when 90% ready, trusting faith to carry the rest. Perfectionism is only another form of drift. The mind loves order, for order is the language of infinite intelligence. When you organize your thoughts, you align with the rhythm of the universe. Each problem solved brings a feeling of mastery. Each decision made increases confidence. The mind that is trained to decide becomes a magnet to opportunity. In my years of study, I discovered that success avoids the indecisive as surely as wealth avoids waste. Opportunity will not knock twice upon a door that remains unopened. The man who says, "I will decide tomorrow," has already chosen failure today. The world rewards action, not apology. The mastermind principle aids this law of order. When two or more minds unite in harmony to plan, their combined intelligence creates a third greater mind. But even the mastermind obeys the leader's decision. Without a guiding will, the group becomes noise instead of symphony. Each night, summon your invisible council. Carnegie for organization, Edison for invention, Lincoln for moral strength, and discuss your plans in imagination. Listen for their advice. This practice trains your subconscious to think as the master's thought. Decision made in such company carries the authority of history itself. I have seen men waste their lives waiting for signs from heaven when the only sign required was their own decision. God has already given you the power of choice. When you use it, you invoke divine partnership. When you neglect it, you drift alone. Decision is prayer and action. The law of order governs not only work but emotion. To feel fear and decide for courage. To feel doubt and decide for faith is to command your inner kingdom. Emotion follows decision as surely as tide follows moon. The undisciplined man waits for mood. The master creates it. To live without plan is to live without peace. The drifting mind is a battlefield where random thoughts wage endless war. Order brings quietness because it gives each thought its duty and every emotion its rank. When the mind marches in formation, fatigue disappears and energy multiplies. Say to yourself each night, "I decide, therefore, the world obeys. My plan is clear, my course unbending. Indecision has no dwelling in my mind." Speak these lines until you feel the calm certainty of command. They are not boastful, they are statements of law. The subconscious, once impressed with such firmness, begins to attract every circumstance necessary to confirm it. You will find that once you have decided upon a definite purpose, fear loses its grip. Worry cannot coexist with decision, for the mind cannot serve two masters. The doubter divides his power. The decisive man multiplies it. Every doubt resolved becomes a new channel for energy. Remember always, decisions shape destiny, but habits preserve it. To decide once is easy. To live by that decision daily requires order. Therefore, To live by that decision daily requires order. Therefore, set your house in harmony. Your thoughts, your time, your associations. The universe loves precision, and it lends its strength to the orderly. When you retire tonight, imagine yourself as an architect reviewing the day's construction. Where did you build well? Where did drift enter? Make your corrections in imagination, and tomorrow the structure will rise stronger. This nightly audit transforms confusion into mastery. The law of order brings not stiffness, but freedom. When every thought and action flows from purpose, you are free from distraction. You no longer chase 100 minor aims. You serve one great cause. That cause gives dignity to labor and peace to rest. Do not fear change, for order is flexible. It adapts, corrects, and improves. The wise builder adjusts his plan when the foundation teaches him a better way. But he never abandons the structure itself. Decision, not stubborn, never abandons the structure itself. Decision, not stubbornness, sustains him. One who decides becomes a beacon to others. The uncertain are drawn to certainty as travelers to light. Soon your decisiveness will inspire confidence in your companions, loyalty in your followers, and respect even from those who oppose you. The world bows to the man who knows where he is going. To end drift is to awaken. You cease being a passenger and become the captain of your soul. The winds may change, but you will steer by your inner compass. That compass is decision guided by faith. With it, you can cross any storm. As you close your eyes tonight, see your life as a grand construction. Each thought is a stone, each decision a pillar, each plan a beam. You are the builder, and infinite intelligence is your supply. Nothing can be denied to the mind that plans with faith and acts with courage. Rest now, not in uncertainty, but in order. Your subconscious has received its blueprint. It will labor faithfully while you sleep. When morning comes, move as one who has already chosen his destiny, for indeed, you have. The night has ended your drifting. The dawn awaits your decision. There is a law in nature as constant as gravity. The man who persists will always outdistance the man who quits. All greatness bows to this law. It is persistence man who quits. All greatness bows to this law. It is persistence that converts defeat into victory, dream into empire, and weakness into mastery. Every fortune I have studied was built upon its altar. Every failure traced to its neglect. Temporary defeat is not failure. It is merely the testing ground where faith proves its worth. The man who turns back at the first obstacle declares his desire shallow. The man who presses forward when the way is dark declares his desire genuine. The world crowns only those who endure long enough to deserve triumph. I once spoke with Rue Derby, who told me of his uncle's mind. They had struck gold, invested their savings in machinery, and dug with feverish hope until the vein vanished. Discouraged, they sold the machinery to a junkman and quit. That junkman sought expert advice, drilled 3 feet farther, and found a fortune. The Darbys learned at great cost that success often stands 3 feet beyond defeat. Edison failed 10,000 times before producing light. Lincoln lost elections, faced ridicule, and suffered tragedy before leading a divided nation to unity. Ford's first automobile venture collapsed, leaving him penniless. Yet he refused to quit. Persistence is the bridge between us. Yet he refused to quit. Persistence is the bridge between intention and realization. Those who cross it find no competition on the far side, for most men have turned back. Persistence begins with purpose. You cannot persevere toward what you do not clearly desire. The wavering mind grows weary quickly, but the definite mind finds strength even in exhaustion. When desire and faith unite, persistence becomes automatic. The man who knows his goal can bear any labor, for labor itself becomes his worship. Many mistake temporary defeat for permanent failure. They do not see that every setback is instruction, every obstacle a lesson. Infinite intelligence uses resistance to strengthen the soul, as friction strengthens the blade. You cannot build endurance without opposition. The mountain that challenges your climb is the mountain that reveals your strength. The secret of persistence is the mountain that reveals your strength. The secret of persistence lies not in stubborn effort, but in steady purpose. To persist blindly is to struggle without direction. To persist with plan and faith is to turn delay into power. When obstacles arise, study them, learn their lesson, and move again. The persistent man adjusts his method, but never his aim. Every night before sleep, review your day's defeats. Ask not, why did this happen to me? But what is this trying to teach me? The man who extracts wisdom from failure never truly fails. His persistence transforms loss into capital, error into education, and delay into refinement. Edison once told me, every wrong attempt discarded is another step forward. This is the creed of persistence. He did not curse darkness. He studied it until it revealed light. The man who understands that every failure contains the seed of equal success cannot be defeated. He can only be delayed. The habit of persistence is formed like any other through repetition. Begin with small acts. Complete every task you start, no matter how small acts. Complete every task you start, no matter how trivial. The mind trained to finish small things will not falter before great ones. Each completed effort carves new grooves of determination into the subconscious. Soon persistence becomes instinct. Faith is the fuel of persistence. Without faith, the fire dies at the first gust of difficulty. But when you believe absolutely in your purpose, defeat becomes merely another tool. Faith tells the mind that obstacles are part of the plan, not the end of it. This attitude transforms resistance into rhythm. To persist does not mean to struggle violently against reality. It means to hold your thoughts steady until reality conforms to it. The farmer does not dig up his seeds when the sun delays. He waits in confidence, knowing that growth requires time. The same law governs every dream. Plant your idea, water it daily with faith, and allow persistence to guard it through every season. Lincoln once said that success consists in moving forward one step at a time, even when the road ahead is unseen. That is persistence. The night may hide the path, but faith keeps the feet in motion. When others sleep in despair, the persistent soul walks on, guided by an inner light that never fades. Every man must face the whisper of defeat, the inner voice that says enough. This is too hard. That is the devil's language of failure. When you hear it, answer with action. Move once more, even if only an inch. The moment you act against discouragement, you reclaim dominion over fear. When discouragement tempts you, repeat this truth. No defeat can make me quit. My will endures until victory bows before me. No defeat can make me quit. My will endures until victory bows before me. Each setback trains me for a greater rise. These words spoken nightly become armor for the coming battles. Persistence is not born in ease, but in repeated defiance of difficulty. Every act of persistence strengthens character. The quitter grows weaker with each surrender. The finisher grows stronger with each completion. Character itself is the accumulation of endured trials. The world may praise intelligence or talent, but it bows before endurance. The mountains yield only to the one who keeps climbing. Understand this. The path of persistence is not always straight. You may move sideways, backward, or seemingly nowhere, but if your mind holds the definite aim, even detours serve your advancement. The universe tests resolve before rewarding it. Those who pass the test of time inherit its treasures. The man who persists becomes magnetized. His conviction radiates strength. His certainty attracts cooperation. People trust the one who cannot be shaken. The timid may begin with more talent, but the steadfast will always finish with more triumph. Persistence also governs the law of attraction. Thought repeated becomes belief. Belief sustained becomes vibration, and vibration draws its likeness. To persist in holding the vision of success is to build an invisible current that carries you toward it, no matter how distant the goal. When fatigue sets in, remember that energy multiplies through purpose. The body follows the mind's command. If you say, I am tired, the body obeys. If you say, I must continue, the body finds strength. The subconscious releases new reserves when the conscious refuses to continue, the body finds strength. The subconscious releases new reserves when the conscious refuses to quit. Defeat is a messenger. It arrives to reveal weakness and invite improvement. Welcome it, study it, and send it away with gratitude. Every temporary failure is a disguised teacher. Persist, and you will discover that what you called punishment was preparation. When discouragement whispers that your dream is impossible, recall those who proved otherwise. Edison's lamp, Lincoln's unity, Ford's motor, Carnegie's empire, all were declared impossible until persistence made them inevitable. The impossible is only the untried. Each night as you prepare for rest, declare aloud, no defeat can make me quit. My will endures until victory bows before me. Each setback trains me for a greater rise. Feel these words as fire in your veins. Imagine every repetition forging iron within your spirit. Persistence, once awakened, becomes a self-sustaining flame that burns through all darkness. There will be nights when progress seems invisible. Those are the sacred hours when persistence works unseen. The miner does not see the gold until the final strike. Yet every blow before that moment was essential. So it is with you. Each effort, though unrewarded, is building the structure of success beneath the surface. To persist is to live in harmony with cosmic habit force. The universe respects rhythm, not impulse. The sun rises daily, not because it wishes to, but because persistence is its nature. You too must make persistence your nature. Steady, rhythmic, unyielding. When the habit of persistence takes root, you no longer battle obstacles. You transcend them. You move forward as water moves, flowing around resistance, wearing down stone, patient but unstoppable. The persistent mind is wearing down stone, patient but unstoppable. The persistent mind is not aggressive. It is inevitable. The reward of persistence is not merely achievement, but transformation. The man who endures becomes something greater than his goal. He gains a calm power, a quiet certainty, a moral strength that no circumstance can shake. He has proved himself to himself, and that is the highest victory. When your body grows weary and your mind seeks rest, remember this law. Persistence does not depend upon feeling. The strongest wills have been exercised when emotion was weakest. The soldier of success marches even when weary, speaks faith even when afraid, and acts rightly even when tempted to quit. Close your eyes now and see yourself standing before the mountain of your ambition. Around you lie the tools of labor, the scars of trial, the memories of defeat. Within you burns a single command: continue. Feel that command pulse through your being until all doubt dissolves. Continue. Feel that command pulse through your being until all doubt dissolves. Sleep in the certainty that while your body rests, your persistence continues its labor. The subconscious, once charged with this rhythm, never ceases its march. When dawn arrives, rise and strike again. Each blow, each act, each hour of endurance brings you nearer to triumph. For in the end, success belongs not to the brilliant nor the fortunate, but to the one who refuses to stop. Persistence is destiny's favorite child. It may test you, exhaust you, and humble you, but if you endure, it will crown you. Rest now in quiet faith. Your fire burns steadily. The habit of persistence has taken root. From this night forward, you are no longer among the drifters and root. From this night forward, you are no longer among the drifters and doubters. You are among builders of empires, and the universe itself will bend to the rhythm of your unyielding will. No man ever rises alone. Every great fortune, every noble work, every enduring creation is the offspring of many minds working in harmony toward a single definite purpose. The law that governs this harmony I have called the mastermind principle. It is not a theory. It is as exact as mathematics and as divine as prayer. When two or more minds unite in the spirit of faith, loyalty, and purpose, a new mind greater than any individual comes into being. I have sat among men who commanded vast industries, and I observed that none achieved greatness without this law. Carnegie, who inspired my life's study, owed his empire not merely to steel, but to men. Around him gathered thinkers, planners, and builders whose minds harmonized with his. Together, they created a power greater than any single genius could command. That invisible power was the mastermind. Harmony is the key. A single discordant thought, envy, suspicion, selfishness breaks the rhythm and destroys the current. The mastermind requires loyalty, mutual trust, and definite aim. It cannot exist in the presence of negativity, for negative minds repel one another. But where faith and respect prevail, the invisible current of infinite intelligence begins to flow, bringing ideas and opportunities that no man could summon alone. You have felt this power before, perhaps without naming it. When you converse with someone whose mind vibrates like yours, energy quickens, time vanishes, and ideas flash like lightning. That is the first taste of the mastermind. It is the marriage of thought and purpose, the union through which infinite intelligence speaks. I have known men of solitude who prided themselves on independence. They believed that to seek counsel was weakness. Yet they achieved little, for isolation narrows the channel through which inspiration flows. The solitary mind can reflect only its own light. The united minds reflect the sun. Consider Ford and Edison, different in craft, yet identical in spirit. When they met, their ideas seemed to converse beyond words. Ford told me that a single hour with Edison yielded more progress than weeks of solitary effort. Their minds harmonized with such power that they seemed to borrow wisdom from the infinite itself. The Wright brothers, too, achieved flight through the same principle. Their shared vision of conquering the air formed a mental circuit stronger than all the mockery that surrounded them. Alone, they might have surrendered. Together, they persisted until mankind itself learned to soar. The mastermind begins within your thought but extends beyond your person. It includes every influence that harmonizes with your purpose: friends, mentors, books, even unseen helpers. When you think upon your definite aim with sincerity, you attract minds and circumstances vibrating in similar rhythm. It is as if the world itself joins your counsel, but beware of alliances formed without purpose. A group united by complaint or gossip forms a mastermind of failure. The law is impartial. It amplifies whatever harmony it finds, good or evil. Therefore, associate only with those who inspire courage, faith, and progress. The company you keep will shape the kingdom you command. Each night before sleep, I summon my invisible counselors. In imagination, I call upon Lincoln for integrity, Carnegie for organization, Edison for perseverance, and others whose virtues I admire. I state my problem, listen for their counsel, and rest. In the morning, fresh ideas arise, often with the clarity of voices remembered. Whether these answers come from within or beyond matters little. The result is sure. The mastermind is real. You may form your own circle of power in this way. Choose minds, living or departed, that represent the qualities you seek. Commune with them in thought. Thank them for their guidance. This practice trains the subconscious to think as they did, to adopt their mental habits, and to connect with the same stream of infinite intelligence that guided them. Faith and gratitude are the twin doors through which the mastermind enters. Doubt and pride keep them shut. Approach your mental allies with humility and purpose. The man who thinks he knows all severs his link with the infinite. The man who seeks to learn keeps the current flowing. The mastermind does not require many participants. 2 minds in harmony are sufficient to tap the creative force of the universe. Even the union of your conscious and subconscious minds working together forms a mastermind within yourself. When these 2 parts cease to war and unite in purpose, your power multiplies 100-fold. I have observed that when men cooperate under this law, coincidence becomes common. Ideas arrive at the same instant, needs are met before expressed, and progress accelerates as though guided by unseen hands. This is not luck, it is law. The mastermind is the bridge between individual effort and cosmic intelligence. If you seek progress in any field, form alliances with those who share your belief. Choose character over charm, conviction over comfort. Agreement of purpose is more valuable than agreement of opinion. When men differ in methods but unite, growth is inevitable. The negative thinker isolates himself, believing that no one understands him. The positive thinker unites, believing that others strengthen him. One diminishes his power, the other multiplies it. The law favors union. Even nature confirms it. Trees interlock roots for stability. Bees labor in unity. Stars move in constellations. Harmony is the signature of creation. You will find that as your vibration of purpose strengthens, it begins to attract new companions. Old associations that do not align will drift away. Do not grieve their departure. It is the law cleansing your environment. The magnet cannot draw iron and dust together. Every word spoken in a group of harmony carries multiplied force. When you meet with those who share your goal, begin by affirming success aloud. Declare the purpose, the plan, and the faith you hold. Let no discord enter the conversation. The law listens, and the subconscious of each member records the declaration. If you wish to form a physical mastermind group, meet regularly with sincerity. Discuss ideas, not people. Progress, not problems. End each meeting with a definite plan of action. The spirit of the group, once established, will continue to work even between meetings. In sleep, your mind remains connected to this greater current. Many a man has awakened with a solution that originated not alone, but within the harmony of his mastermind. Faith opens the channel, rest deepens it, and the subconscious delivers its treasures in due season. Affirm before rest, I walk in the company of power. The wisdom of ages speaks through my circle of harmony. My alliances multiply my strength. Feel these words as truth. Imagine yourself seated among the great builders of history, their eyes upon you in approval. Know that their spirit lives wherever faith and purpose meet. You are one with them through the mastermind. When you live by this law, you cease to feel lonely, for you recognize that no thought of purpose ever travels alone. Every noble idea summons its companions across time and space. Carnegie once said that teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the fuel that allows ordinary men to achieve extraordinary results. He understood that when men blend their efforts in harmony, they tap the secret current of creation itself. That current, once flowing, is unstoppable. Guard the sanctity of your mastermind as a priest guards his altar. Admit only those whose motives are pure. A single cynical voice can drain the current of faith. If discord arises, resolve it quickly, or withdraw until harmony is restored. The law does not tolerate confusion. As your faith in this principle deepens, you will notice that even strangers begin to assist you unexpectedly. A word spoken, an introduction made, a door opened at the right moment. All these are the hand of your extended mastermind. Infinite intelligence arranges these meetings through the vibration of your purpose. The world admires independence, but the universe rewards cooperation. The solitary man may reach far, but the united minds reach infinity. The mastermind is not dependence. It is divine partnership. It teaches humility without weakness and power without pride. Each night as you surrender to sleep, picture yourself within your council. Speak your desires to them. Listen in the stillness for their answer. Thank them and rest. As you dream, the union continues its labor, drawing wisdom from the infinite and shaping it into your next day's inspiration. When morning comes, act upon the impressions that linger. The mind often disguises guidance as impulse. Obey it, and you will find the path prepared. The mastermind works silently but unfailingly for those who trust its law. You will awaken stronger, wiser, and more assured. For you are no longer one mind alone. You are the focus of many. The unseen power of harmony will go before you into every task, softening resistance and attracting favor. Where others toil in isolation, you will glide upon the current of cooperation. Rest now in gratitude for your company of power. The room around you may seem silent, but you are surrounded by a congregation of minds, invisible, bound to you by purpose. Together you march beneath the banner of faith. The world itself becomes your ally. Sleep then as one who commands legions. For tonight, your mastermind gathers in the realm unseen, laboring in unity for your success. You are no longer a single note. You are part of the symphony of power that echoes through eternity. Every empire of success begins with the conquest of one kingdom, the kingdom within. He who cannot command himself cannot command circumstance. Self-discipline is the master key that opens every locked gate of potential. Without it, talent scatters, desire flickers, and faith collapses into noise. With it, the smallest ability multiplies, and the weakest will grow invincible. The mind is a city of countless voices. Some urge action, others whisper doubt, some call you to purpose, others tempt you to drift. The undisciplined man urge action, others whisper doubt, some call you to purpose, others tempt you to drift. The undisciplined man becomes the captive of whichever voice shouts loudest at the moment. But the disciplined man chooses which thought may speak, and in that choice lies his dominion. Controlled attention is the instrument of this dominion. To hold one thought with unwavering focus until it obeys, to direct emotion instead of being driven by it. That is mastery. Power does not come from the number of things you know, but from the ability to hold one thing steadily in the light of consciousness until it becomes fact. Andrew Carnegie once said to me, "The most valuable skill I ever learned was the ability to keep my mind on one thing until it was done." He knew that energy divided is energy lost. The sun warms, but focused through a lens, it ignites fire. So too with attention. Diffused it comforts, concentrated it creates. Self-discipline begins in small acts. Rise when you intend to rise. Speak when speech adds value. Remain silent when silence is wiser. Complete every task once begun, however trivial. Each obedience to self strengthens the habit of control. Each surrender to weakness strengthens the chains of drift. The mind becomes what it repeatedly permits. In my early life, I believed that genius was a matter of inspiration, until I learned that inspiration itself visits only the disciplined. The flashes of brilliance men call genius are but rewards for long fidelity to thought, until I learned that inspiration itself visits only the disciplined. The flashes of brilliance men call genius are but rewards for long fidelity to thought. Infinite intelligence lends its treasures only to the mind that has proved itself trustworthy by control. The undisciplined man prays for opportunity and curses distraction, yet keeps his door open to every passing impulse. He reads without purpose, speaks without measure, and labors without plan. His life is a scattered garden where no seed has time to root. Discipline is the fence that guards the garden of the mind. To control attention is to determine destiny. Whatever occupies your thought grows. The subconscious is a fertile field that accepts every seed without question. If you dwell on weakness, you increase it. If you dwell on power, you multiply it. Therefore, watch your attention as a watchman guards the city gate. Admit only those ideas that serve your definite aim. Edison. Therefore, watch your attention as a watchman guards the city gate. Admit only those ideas that serve your definite aim. Edison practiced this law faithfully. When working on the electric lamp, he banished all thoughts unrelated to its success. He told his assistants that during those months they were not merely men. They were filaments of his idea. His focus burned so bright that even his failures illuminated progress. That is the law of controlled attention. It turns defeat into data and repetition into revelation. Self-discipline is not harshness. It is respect for law. The undisciplined believe freedom means doing as they please. The wise know that freedom means mastery over desire. A river without banks becomes a swamp. Life without boundaries becomes confusion. Discipline channels power as banks channel water. When passion threatens to consume judgment, recall that emotion is the servant, not the ruler. Feel deeply, but command the direction of feeling. Anger, fear, and desire are energies. Guided, they build. Uncontrolled, they destroy. To rule emotion is not to suppress it, but to assign it purpose. The disciplined soul turns even pain into fuel. There was a time when I allowed irritation to rule me. A single word of criticism could disturb my peace for hours. Then I discovered that no one could offend me without my consent. A single word of criticism could disturb my peace for hours. Then I discovered that no one could offend me without my consent. I began to practice mental stillness, to pause before reaction, to observe before responding. In that pause, I found power. The man who pauses rules himself. The man who reacts is ruled by others. Controlled attention also governs speech. Words are carriers of vibration. Once spoken, they never return empty. The disciplined man speaks slowly, deliberately, with purpose. His words are few, but each strikes like a hammer. The undisciplined speak first and think later. They spend their strength in noise. Silence used wisely is a weapon of kings. Before you can direct others, you must first direct your thoughts. The leader who cannot command his own moods cannot command men. The salesman who cannot master his tone cannot persuade. The thinker who cannot hold his idea cannot create. All mastery begins with self-mastery. Each night before sleep, review your day and ask, where did I permit drift? Which thought held my attention that should have been denied? Then, without self-reproach, imagine the correction. Visualize yourself acting as you wish to act. This nightly rehearsal impresses discipline upon the subconscious, which learns through repetition, not regret. Henry Ford told me that he rarely allowed conversation. This nightly rehearsal impresses discipline upon the subconscious, which learns through repetition, not regret. Henry Ford told me that he rarely allowed conversation about failure in his presence. It weakens the mind, he said. I prefer to speak only of what can be done. That was not arrogance. It was controlled attention. He understood that words guide thought and thought guides circumstance. The mind, like a compass, follows whichever direction The mind, like a compass, follows whichever direction you give it most often. Self-discipline extends to the use of time. Each minute is a coin of life. Spend it only where it yields return. Plan your day before it begins. Plan your thoughts before they wander. Time and thought are the twin currencies of power. The undisciplined squander both and wonder why poverty follows. To cultivate focus, choose a single aim for each day. One task that, if accomplished, will advance your purpose most. Begin first, finish it entirely. This practice builds the habit of completion. The unfinished work weakens the will. The finished act strengthens it. Emotion obeys rhythm. Therefore, when fatigue or discouragement arises, do not resist it violently. Redirect. If you feel anger, transmute it into determination. If you feel sadness, turn it into reflection. You cannot prevent emotion, but you can command its service. Even the storm can drive your ship if you hold the wheel. Self-discipline does not exclude joy, it refines it. The pleasures of the undisciplined are brief and bitter. The joys of the disciplined are deep and lasting. The man who controls his appetite savors life more fully, for his senses are his servants, not his masters. Pleasure then becomes gratitude, not guilt. There are moments when the mind rebels against restraint. In those moments, recall your purpose. The soldier grows weary of drill, yet continues because he remembers his cause. So must you. Each act of control strengthens the invisible armor around your will. In time, temptation will glance off you harmlessly as arrows against steel. Each act of control strengthens the invisible armor around your will. In time, temptation will glance off you harmlessly as arrows against steel. Attention is life's steering wheel. Wherever you fix it, there you go. The drifting mind is a boat without rudder, driven by the winds of circumstance. To hold thought upon your chief aim through noise, fear, and distraction is to master destiny itself. No external force can enslave the man who governs his attention. Before sleep, practice this discipline. Withdraw your attention from the outer world. Let the body grow heavy and still. Turn the gaze of your mind inward to the image of your purpose. Hold it until it glows as if alive. Whisper, my thoughts move where I direct them. I master my mind and through it my world. Stillness is my throne, discipline my crown. Repeat this nightly until calm becomes your natural state. Through it my world. Stillness is my throne, discipline my crown. Repeat this nightly until calm becomes your natural state. The subconscious, once trained to obey, continues its discipline even in dreams. You will awaken each morning with greater clarity, fewer wasted impulses, and stronger will. Discipline practiced at night becomes instinct by day. Every successful man I have known possessed this inner gate. He decided what entered his mind and what was denied. He knew that gossip, fear, and trivial talk were thieves of focus. To entertain them was to rob his purpose. Therefore, he guarded his attention as a miser guards gold, allowing only thoughts that paid interest in progress. Controlled attention gathers strength as a magnifying glass gathers light. When the rays of thought converge upon one definite idea, they ignite creation. That is why all invention, all art, all leadership depend upon concentration. The mind that can hold one idea until it matures holds the secret of power itself. Self-discipline and faith walk together. Faith gives direction. Discipline gives form. Discipline gives form. Faith without discipline is wildfire. Discipline without faith is cold routine. Together, they make the steady flame that illuminates the world. There will be times when your discipline falters. When you fail, begin again immediately. Do not mourn lost moments. Use them as reminders. Each lapse is a lesson. Each return strengthens resolve. Progress is not in never falling, but in rising quickly and deliberately. The disciplined man does not depend upon inspiration. He creates it. He does not wait for mood. He commands it. He does not postpone action. He begins and lets momentum produce feeling. He has learned that motion breeds emotion, and emotion rightly guided breeds success. Observe your thoughts as a shepherd observes his flock. Gather the strays, correct the wanderers, lead them to productive fields. The shepherd who sleeps loses sheep. The thinker who drifts loses power. The mind demands constant leadership. Control of attention is also the secret of peace. Anxiety is merely attention fixed on fear. Serenity is attention fixed on faith. The object of focus determines the flavor of life. Choose deliberately each day where your gaze shall rest. The habit of focusing on good converts adversity into opportunity. When you have mastered yourself, you will find that the outer world cooperates with astonishing ease. People respect those who rule themselves, for self-command radiates authority. Discipline gives your presence weight. Others feel safer in your certainty. Leadership is simply disciplined thought made visible. In the silence of night, imagine standing before the gate of your own mind. Upon it is written, admittance by permission only. See every thought approaching. Some wear the cloak of fear, others the mask of desire. Allow only those aligned with your chief aim to pass in. The rest send away with calm command. As you practice this, you will sense a great quietness descending upon you. The mental noise of the world will fade. From that quietness will rise intuition, inspiration, and peace, the true companions of mastery. Infinite intelligence speaks only through disciplined minds. Chaos cannot hear its voice. The world outside may remain turbulent, but within you calm as a deep lake. That calm will reflect every good idea more clearly, for reflection requires still water. You will act with precision, speak with power, and rest without fear. Sleep now as a master resting in command. Your thoughts march in order. Your attention obeys your will. While your body sleeps, your disciplined mind continues its work, arranging, strengthening, preparing. When dawn comes, you will awaken not as a wanderer, but as a ruler renewed. For the law of the inner gate has become your guardian and self-discipline your crown. The great secret of riches is not hoarding, but giving. Life rewards the man who renders more than he is paid for, who serves beyond measure, who meets every demand with cheerful readiness. Clutching his gold in fear, discovers too late that he has imprisoned himself within poverty of spirit. The generous man, giving freely of effort, thought, and goodwill, finds doors opening everywhere before him. For the universe, like man, loves to serve those who serve it. The law of abundance is exact. It decrees that every man shall receive in proportion to what he gives, measured not merely by his deeds, but by the spirit in which he performs them. A task done reluctantly brings scant return. A task done with enthusiasm multiplies its reward. The difference lies not in the act, but in the energy behind it. I have watched this law at work in factories, offices, farms, and homes. The man who grumbles at duty remains where he is. The man who gives more than asked soon becomes indispensable. Employers promote not those who wait for direction, but those who anticipate need. The universe itself is the great employer, promoting each soul in proportion to service rendered. Charles Schwab rose from a humble position to become the trusted associate of Carnegie because he practiced this law instinctively. When assigned a task, he did not ask, "How little may I do?" but "How much can I add?" His cheerful spirit and unselfish energy made him magnetic. Wealth, opportunity, and influence gathered around him as sparks to flame. Andrew Carnegie, observing this principle, rewarded it lavishly. He often said that a man who gives more than he is paid for cannot remain long unpaid. For life keeps perfect books. The world, he told me, is always looking for a man who can do more than he is told, and it will pay any price to keep him. To go the extra mile is to place yourself in harmony with the rhythm of abundance. It is to declare silently, I am not a beggar of life. I am its partner. This attitude releases a power that cannot be denied. Those who complain of scarcity reveal their miserliness of spirit. They attempt to draw reward from an empty account. The generous man continually deposits faith, kindness, and effort, and interest compounds invisibly. Gratitude is the language of abundance. The ungrateful heart closes the channels of supply. When you dwell upon what is lacking, you multiply lack. When you give thanks for what is present, you multiply plenty. Gratitude is not a polite word. It is a magnetic vibration that aligns the mind with prosperity. Each night before sleep, count your blessings. Do not merely list them, feel them. The roof above, the body that serves you, the mind that thinks, the chance to labor. All are treasures that millions lack. Gratitude transforms ordinary possessions into miracles. What you praise grows in value. What you neglect withers in silence. Service is the soul's expression of gratitude. It is the proof that you understand life's exchange. Every act of service performed without thought of payment releases invisible compensation. It may not return through the same channel, but it will return multiplied. The man who serves only for money is like a farmer who waters only the plants he intends to eat. The rest of his field dies barren. I once met a clerk whose pay was meager, yet his spirit was radiant. He told me he had made a secret pact with himself. every customer would leave his counter happier than they arrived. Within a year, he managed the department. Within 5, he owned the department. Within 5, he owned his own store. He had learned that the smile given freely is worth more than the coin demanded. Abundance flows to those who think richly. Poverty is not a lack of money, it is a lack of generosity. The poor man says, "I cannot give because I have not enough." The rich in spirit say, "I have enough because I can give." The first waits for conditions to change, the second changes them by action. The universe responds to cheerful expectancy. When you perform your duty joyfully, you attract helpers. When you serve grudgingly, you repel them. Work done in bitterness poisons its reward. Work done in gratitude perfumes it. Infinite intelligence is not blind. It recognizes motive as clearly as motion. When you give more than required, not in quantity alone, but in quality. Do not merely complete a task, complete it beautifully. Do not simply fulfill an agreement, exceed it. That extra measure is the difference between mediocrity and mastery. The man who adds grace to effort adds divinity to labor. The law of abundance demands faith. You must trust that what you send forth returns multiplied. The timid fear loss and withhold their strength. The bold give freely, knowing that no man can outgive the source of all supply. As the ocean fills each river that empties itself, so life refills the heart that pours itself into service. When adversity strikes, serve more, not less. The instinct of fear says, withdraw, conserve, protect. The wisdom of faith says, expand, contribute, advance. Many have found prosperity returning only after they gave away their last strength in service. The moment you act in faith, you prove yourself a channel, and channels must be kept full. Gratitude also heals fear. It is impossible to be thankful and terrified at once. When you feel anxiety creeping in, turn your attention to what is good and thank it aloud. Gratitude raises the vibration of thought until worry cannot live it aloud. Gratitude raises the vibration of thought until worry cannot live in its atmosphere. True wealth is not measured by possession, but by peace. The man who serves with joy sleeps well, eats well, and loves well. The miser sleeps with worry as his companion. Money without gratitude is dust. Work without joy is slavery. The rich man in spirit feels abundance long before the banker confirms it. To cultivate this law, practice 3 nightly exercises. First, recall one act of service rendered beyond duty. Relive it in mind. Feel the quiet pride of excellence. Second, list at least 5 blessings and thank life for them sincerely. Third, plan one act of unrequired service for tomorrow. These 3 habits align your mind with infinite supply. Say before rest, I give more than I receive and thus receive more than I give. Service opens every locked door before me. My gratitude multiplies my fortune. Speak these words until they fill your heart with peace. Speak these words until they fill your heart with peace. Feel them as commands, not wishes. For the subconscious does not distinguish between physical labor and mental service. To imagine generosity is to begin it. The man who practices abundance soon radiates it. His voice carries warmth, his presence assurance. People sense his reliability, trust him with opportunity, and follow his example. He does not need to boast of wealth. Wealth becomes the echo of his spirit. When you live by this law, you cease asking, "What can I get?" and begin asking, "What can I give?" In that change of question, your world transforms. Problems shrink, relationships deepen, prosperity flows naturally. You no longer chase results, you create causes. The habit of going the extra mile also refines character. It develops patience, humility, and accuracy. The man who gives more than asked becomes the man who expects more from himself, and that expectation lifts him above mediocrity. He works not for applause but for mastery, not for reward but for growth. Even in hardship, the generous spirit finds abundance. When fortune seems to withdraw, gratitude sustains him. He knows that life sometimes hides its gifts behind delay to test endurance. The thankful heart passes the test. The bitter heart fails it. You may observe that those who complain most have least. Complaint is a declaration of distrust in the law of good. Gratitude declares faith. The universe echoes whichever declaration you make most often. Speak gratitude daily, and abundance will answer from every side. There is a spiritual arithmetic to this law. Every act of sincere service adds. Every thought of resentment subtracts. Every expression of gratitude multiplies. Every act of selfishness divides. Keep your account balanced in generosity, and interest will accrue in peace, opportunity, and joy. The smallest act done in love carries cosmic importance. A kind word, a patient smile, an act done in love carries cosmic importance. A kind word, a patient smile, an unasked favor. These are currency in the invisible economy. Do not wait for grand chances to serve. Greatness grows from small acts done greatly. The man who sweeps a floor with excellence prepares his soul to govern nations. When you rest tonight, imagine abundance flowing through you as a living stream. See yourself as both receiver and giver, the channel through which life circulates its treasures. Feel gratitude as light expanding in every cell. Whisper, I am part of the infinite exchange of good. Nothing is withheld from me because I withhold nothing from life. Sleep in that assurance. Your subconscious will take these impressions and multiply them. In the morning, you will find yourself guided toward opportunities to serve, moments to express gratitude, and chances to exceed expectation. Each act strengthens the rhythm of abundance. In time, this habit becomes nature itself. Strengthens the rhythm of abundance. In time, this habit becomes nature itself. You will give without calculation, serve without fatigue, and thank without reason. People will call you fortunate, but fortune will only be the shadow of your spirit. You will have learned the truth that every generous act enriches the giver more than the receiver. Rest now content and abundant. You have discovered the law that governs all prosperity. To give is to grow, to serve is to reign, to thank is to receive. Your heart filled with gratitude has become the treasury of the universe, and life itself, ever just, will pour into your keeping riches, visible and invisible, until you overflow with peace. There is a silent law older than man, older than the stars, older than time itself, a law that never sleeps, never forgets, never errs. I have called it the master law, the law of cosmic habit force. It is the unseen rhythm that governs the movement of planets, the growth of seeds, the beating of your heart, and the destiny of your soul. Every thought you repeat, every act you perform, every emotion you indulge becomes part of this rhythm. Repetition is creation. Habit is the sculpture of destiny. Most men drift because they do not understand this law. They think their lives are ruled by chance, unaware that every habit they form is a silent prayer to the universe, asking to be multiplied. Life does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you repeat. Each thought, spoken or silent, is a command to the law that shapes form from faith. You cannot escape habit, for you live in a universe built upon it. The sun rises by habit. The tides move by habit, and your heart beats in harmony with the same principle. The only question is whether your habits serve you or enslave you. The man who surrenders his thought to fear builds a rhythm of failure. The man who directs his thought with faith builds a rhythm of triumph. Every night and every morning, your mind is training the unseen forces that shape your future. Each repetition of faith strengthens your power. Each repetition of doubt strengthens your prison. Cosmic habit force rewards consistency without judgment. It multiplies whatever you practice most. If you practice courage, courage becomes automatic. If you practice hesitation, hesitation becomes instinct. The law is perfect and therefore merciless. When I first discovered this truth, I understood why persistence, decision, and desire are so vital. They are the conscious builders of habit. A single decision held through repetition becomes permanent character. Character expressed over time becomes destiny. Thus, the man who controls his habits controls the law that governs creation itself. Consider the habits of the great. Edison rose each day at the same hour, worked with the same intensity, pursued his goal with the same faith. His mind, trained in perseverance, became a rhythmic engine of creation. Lincoln, through years of defeat and ridicule, held the same habit of patience and moral steadiness until he became the embodiment of endurance. Ford made decision and action his instinctive, and the world followed his pace. These men mastered the law by mastering themselves. Cosmic habit force is impartial. It will keep a man poor as easily as it will make him rich. It will bind him to fear as easily as it will lift faith. You cannot plead with it. You can only align with it. It is the silent servant of all, rewarding the wise and careless. To change your life, you must just change your rhythm. To change your rhythm, you must change what you repeat. Each thought you dwell upon, each feeling you feed, each word you speak builds a groove in the mind through which all future energy flows. Once the groove is deep, it becomes the path of least resistance. The road your soul travels automatically. This is why most men live the same year again and again, calling it life. Their habits have become their fate, but you may remake your rhythm at any moment. You may replace an old habit with a new one by deliberate repetition. Begin small, for the law magnifies every act. Refuse one temptation, and the strength of refusal multiplies. Speak one word of faith, and faith deepens its channel. Think one thought of courage, and courage becomes easier next time. Each victory, however slight, changes your orbit. The law of repetition is the secret of genius. No man becomes master of his craft through inspiration alone. Mastery is the product of countless repetitions. Every leader has obeyed this law whether he knew it or not. The mediocre tire of repetition, the great make repetition their teacher. Habit also governs emotion. Cheerfulness, patience, gratitude, courage. These are not gifts, but trained states. Practice cheerfulness daily, and soon your countenance will radiate it without effort. Practice gratitude nightly, and abundance will cling to you as light. Practice courage until fear itself grows weary and leaves. The man who disciplines his emotional habits becomes master of peace. When faith is repeated long enough, it becomes knowing. When decision is repeated long enough, it becomes instinct. When service is repeated long enough, it becomes character. The law of cosmic habit force transforms effort into ease, command into nature. What you once struggled to do becomes automatic. This is true mastery, to act rightly without effort, because right action has become your second nature. Many wonder why success seems easier for some, because those men have trained their minds into rhythm with success. Their thoughts, habits, and attitudes move in tune with prosperity. They know to struggle for it, for the law now carries them as the tide carries the ship. When your rhythm matches success, success becomes inevitable. Repetition without purpose is drift. Repetition with faith is creation. You must be deliberate in what you repeat. Write your chief aim and read it aloud each morning and night. Feel it as already yours. Each repetition impresses the image deeper into the subconscious until the law accepts it as permanent order. Then, without strain, circumstances will arrange themselves to fulfill it. At first, change may seem slow, for old habits resist replacement, but persist. Every repetition weakens the old groove and strengthens the new. One day you will awaken to find the change complete. You will act, think, and feel as the new man naturally without effort. The law, once trained, carries you forward endlessly. Cosmic habit force is also moral. It punishes deceit and rewards integrity, breeds harmony. The dishonest man must remember his lies. The honest man lives in rhythm with truth, and truth sustains him. Harmony is wealth. Discord is poverty. Align your daily conduct with justice and goodwill, and you will find the law arranged accordingly. All power lies in rhythm. The heart beats rhythmically, the planets move rhythmically, and the successful man works, thinks, and rests rhythmically. Disorder drains energy. Order restores it. The man who builds his life upon steady habits of rising early, working faithfully, studying daily, tune with cosmic order, and becomes unstoppable. To understand this law fully, you must see it as divine mercy. It frees man from the tyranny of chance. It gives him the keys to his destiny. By forming right habits, he may ensure right results as surely as day follows night. Habit is justice made visible. The universe rewards repetition of good because repetition proves sincerity. Before sleep, observe what you have repeated today. Did your thoughts dwell on fear or faith, complaint or gratitude, idleness? The answer reveals your future. If your rhythm displeases you, decide tonight to change it. Begin tomorrow by repeating the opposite of what ensues. The law will obey. Say to yourself as you rest, I am the habit of success itself. The rhythm of achievement beats in every thought I hold. What I repeat, I become. Speak these words slowly with certainty. Feel them engraving themselves upon your mind. The subconscious, which never sleeps, will carry them into the workshop of the night. There, the law of habit force will begin reshaping your inner rhythm to match your words. Understand that you are never truly idle. Even in rest, your mind repeats. It replays the day's thoughts, magnifying them. That is why the hour before sleep is sacred. Whatever emotion or belief you entertain then becomes tomorrow's rhythm. Fill it with faith, gratitude, and peace, and your morning will mirror it. Infinite intelligence designed this law for man's growth. It makes success inevitable for the disciplined and failure inevitable for the careless. You cannot deceive it, for it records not words but vibrations, answer to the stronger vibration. Therefore, train both thought and feeling to beat in harmony with your desire. Every prayer, every affirmation, every act of kindness, every moment of courage contributes to the rhythm of your future. The law keeps nothing small, it magnifies all. Guard your mind, therefore, with reverence. Each repetition is a seed sown in eternity. The man who masters this truth no longer seeks miracles, he becomes one. His calm confidence, his steady habits, his unbroken rhythm of thought make him a living embodiment of. But luck is only rhythm aligned with opportunity. Cosmic habit force is your silent companion. Once you have trained it with definite purpose, it continues your labor when you rest. It will lead you to the right people, ideas, the right timing. It is the faithful engine of destiny, always turning, always building until the structure of your life matches the blueprint of your thought. Do not fight this law. Ally with it. Let repetition be your servant, not your master. Choose your thoughts as carefully as a jeweler chooses gems, for you will wear them as habits tomorrow. Build your rhythm of thought as a composer. Every note sings of purpose, faith, and gratitude. As you drift into sleep, know that your repeated words, your daily habits, your endurance are now united with the rhythm of the universe. You have entered harmony with the same law that swings the planets and kindles the stars. From this night forward, success is no longer a pursuit. It is a habit. Rest then in peace. The law works while you sleep. Each breath draws in power. Each heartbeat repeats the rhythm of victory. You have aligned your life with the master law. And in that alignment, nothing can fail. For the universe itself labors with.
Thank you for listening until the end of the video. If you found it helpful, hit subscribe so you won't miss the next business lessons. Share your startup idea in the comments. I'd love to hear your story and learn together. See you in the next video on Listen to Get Rich.